Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. This was a weird hour to go live. Let's see. Sean should be on his way here. Sean! There you are! Hey!
Hello. That worked. How's it going?
Good, man. Got some luck on our side. Like, you're the only one this has ever worked right from the straight, like right from the first time, straight shot. How
Well, I
are
was
you?
trying to be that guy. Like I didn't want to be that person, that just after all the trials and tribulations that you guys have gone through, finally figure out I'm first.
It's usually whoever. It's usually the person's Wi-Fi that's the issue. They're just
Is
like
it?
not on good Wi-Fi or something. It's weird.
Well, I mean, this isn't what we were going to talk about, but I highly recommend Orbi. If you don't have it, get it. It's awesome.
What's that?
It's like a mesh. They call it a mesh, like internet. So it's like 3 bands that like talk to each other. It's,
Huh.
it's like the next level in Wi-Fi, like routers and stuff. Because there's like little boxes. I can show you, but mine's buried behind a bunch of pop cans. But but yeah, no, it's this little box that sits there, and if you have a bigger house or something like that, I think mine will go like 5,000 square feet, but I don't have that big of a house. But it just anywhere I go in my house, it's awesome.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That helped a lot, hey?
Yeah, no, it's great. I've been battling since I moved into this house with different routers and never worked until now. So I love it.
Awesome. Perfect. I'm just going to
Yeah,
give this a quick little share and entourage for us.
awesome. So how's it up there? Are you guys still dealing with smoke like we are down here?
Yeah, it died down the last few days. Today it's just I went for a bit of a walk to go pick up a parcel, and it's just like it's pretty bad out there again.
Yeah. It's supposed to rain, I think, tomorrow or the next day over here, so I'm hoping that helps because it's been in the 90s, and I don't know what the conversion to Celsius is, but it's in the 90s and pretty smoky. I went to a baseball game last night.
Baseball game, what?
I went to a baseball game last night. It was just really, really smoky. So just kind of being outside and trying to watch the game, and it was no wind. It was terrible. I mean, it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, the wind was.
Yeah. Now you try to be a keyboard warrior, keep yourself out of the smoke.
I try to, other than going and getting my butt kicked at jiu-jitsu. So other than that,
That's awesome. Yeah, so protecting our business assets, that's one of those things that not too many people really think about it. They don't really see the importance. So I figured that's actually right up both of our alleys in a sense. So
yeah, it's something I've run into in the past a lot, where I mean, in different situations, people don't think of kind of being prepared is one way to kind of protect yourself, obviously. Having the right disclosures, making sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's so you're not having to use your insurance or something like that. But I think what I've run into in the past most often is someone who's not prepared for what happens if a drastic change happens in either your business life or a partner or something like that. I mean I have personal experience knowing that a close friend of the family had a major catastrophic event with your business partner. Well, what happens when that business partner's gone? How do you replace the workload that another partner is going to? You know what I mean? You can't just take it all on yourself.
yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, but it's something if you deal with it up front, right, or at least close to up front, right, it's a lot easier to deal with than 10, 15 years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the sooner you can start setting all that up and getting prepared, the better. Like it doesn't matter if you're a startup and you're a couple weeks in. Like that's because you can set things up to be flexible, and you could to be flexible enough that you can adapt and solidify things as you go. But like one way or another, you're going to be forced out of your business.
Yeah.
You could be sick, you could pass away, you could go through a divorce, you could, depending on how your company is structured, you could be voted out. Like there's so many number of things. So protecting that and making sure that you could take like a chunk of whatever you've built with you, a chunk of
Hmm.
the assets, like just carve it out. That's crucial. Who wants to work all their lives for nothing, especially as an entrepreneur,
Oh,
business?
for sure. I mean, I feel like when I first started in this industry, people were always like, well, find your exit strategy, figure that out up front, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me when I'm a young person. But now, I mean, that can be tied into it, right? I mean, that's your exit strategy. Um, it's you've got to figure that out because I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I mean, what's your number one, what's your number one asset, right? It's your ability to earn an income, right? No
Yeah.
matter what. I mean, even if you got a huge, beautiful house, lots of stock, or whatever it is, your number one asset is the ability to earn an income. And if you had a heart attack and you can't work, how are you going to do? Whether you're a business owner or not, from those types of crazy things, like you were mentioning, you listed off.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like there's a lot of great policies out there. Like you can crisscross your disability and your critical illness. There's so many different things you can do, but those policies, they can be limited and restricted. They're not always going to be like a 100%
Yep.
umbrella. So
Yep.
if you want to make sure that your plan, it's even more crucial to plan that too, because I mean, if you need to sell off your business somehow or a part of your business or whatever the case may be in order to provide for your family, that you need to set that up now as opposed to waiting until it's too late. You
Yeah.
could you might not have the mental capacity. uh, Nobody might want to take it over just because of the situation. Like there's so many different things that come into play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that just it goes down to exactly like especially if you do have partners, or even if you don't, have it written out, have it notarized exactly what you want to have happen if something bad does happen. Because you can't say, wait, pause, I'm having a heart attack. Let me figure some things out, and then then I'll finish
Yeah.
having a heart attack. You know what I mean, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
sorry
remember.
if you can see my black eye. I'm sorry, I got that the other day. So
It's all good. I remember two things from I guess back in the day that stuck out with me. I remember I got this lead and I met this guy at the coffee shop, and he wanted to talk about DI, disability insurance.
mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever, cool, go. And the thing is, the guy was already disabled, and he had already talked to like a number of agents. And like I was there for 10 minutes and like just kind of pre-qualifying him, qualifying him, trying to find out more about his situation. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing I can do to help you. And he
Yeah.
starts going off about how he's about to lose his house, how there's nothing that he can do for work without messing up whatever income streams he had coming in from the government or whatever programs. And like he needed help, and he's sitting there cursing me out like, all you guys are the same. All you guys are the same. Like you're not. You just kick a man when he's down. You don't do anything to help. It's like, well, no, it's too late. You've crossed the point of no return. Like it's unfortunate. I walked out, and the guy just stood there screaming at me as I was walking out. I was like,
I mean, clearly that someone like that is just upset at the situation, and there's nothing you can do to resolve it for him, and it's
no,
unfortunate. But it's also my job and colleagues in the industry, your previous life, like to have those
yeah,
conversations with people before that becomes an issue, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's unfortunate. I always bring up the conversation because I feel like car insurance, everyone has to have it. It's like, I mean, at least in the States, it's required by law to have. I'm not sure up in Canada, but I always bring up is like, you wouldn't come to me for car insurance if you just ran into a pole outside, would you? You know what I mean? You wouldn't try to get a new policy on a car that you just wrecked. You
mm,
can't do it. It's the same kind of thing with anything else. That's what insurance is, and
yeah,
it's a harsh reality, but it's it is what it is. It's just the nature of it. And, unless it's Obamacare, which is going away, as we all know. But
yeah.
you know, But yeah, I mean, you got to protect yourself. You got to prepare, and there are ways, like you were kind of alluding to, is there's ways to even dip your toes into some of these policies, and it can be written into some of these policies that you can, as your business grows, as you start making more money, as you start whatever, you can actually be guaranteed to be able to add more and more on disability
Mm.
policy, or be able to lock in the ability to buy more life insurance if you want, or you know whatever it is. There's ways to structure that, but if you don't take action beforehand, you're never going to be able to do
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. One of the things that if once people knew about it was popular is setting up ULs for people who are like relatively new in business because that's an asset. It's increasing their business valuation and they can always leverage it down the road to help them scale and grow. That's another form of protection.
it.
It's kind of like at first people scoff at it. They're like, "Well, why do I need insurance or why do I need something like this set up right now or at any point in my business?" And you're looking, and once they see like the cash and how that can be like, it's just a creative way of protecting your business by making sure you have a reserve of cash on hand to leverage for whatever stage of business that you're in. You can't
Oh
just
yeah.
you can't just go out there and start a savings account and then expect that 2 days from now you can go out and get a loan to leverage against it. It don't work like that. You need the time. And sometimes it's 8, 10, 15 years before it's to that point. But the sooner you start, it's just like it takes a lot right off your shoulders.
hmm hmm Well, and I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, if you have opportunity, right, to do something, you've got to have assets to leverage that opportunity. If you don't, then you're just stuck. I mean, there's awesome folks like our folks over at Sprout and some of those other types of lenders, but
Yeah.
that's no guarantee either. If you have something, if you have cash value life insurance, if you have assets built up somewhere that you can leverage to expand or to add another division or whatever it is, whatever your business needs are, you're gonna be thanking yourself way down the road for taking that extra step and doing that before.
Yeah, for sure. I like the other thing to be conscious of too is like your group policy is not going to save you from much. If
No.
you have an employer placed policy, one thing that was really cool was when you're setting them up, see about getting one-on-one meetings with all the staff, and
hmm
like just doing an introductory meeting. Here's what's covered. Here's what's not. Here's what we recommend. Are you working with anybody? You want a second opinion, however. And I mean, like people really loved and appreciated that. They're like, "Oh man, I never knew that there was this much involved in my group policy," and it really opens their eyes and helps them out a lot. And then from an employer standpoint, from the business owner standpoint, it's like, yeah, you just that sense of like I'm taking care of my people is just that much greater from it.
Oh yeah, and well, and it doesn't cost the employer anything at that point, really.
Yeah.
For the supplemental benefits, and these folks would probably never get to see that on their own without being introduced to whoever they're myself or whoever the agent is. It's you don't get that, right? You just don't.
Mhm.
It's usually like pick option A, B, or C, and away you go, and you're supposedly saved by that. And it's automatic option to the company's 401k. Well, that's snap
Yeah.
that up. It's not going to work down long term either. So you got to protect yourself in different ways and kind of have trust people you can trust to do that for you.
Hmm. Do you guys have health spending accounts down there?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's becoming more and more popular too because just of the sheer cost of health insurance. And so
Hmm.
you have to have certain types of health insurance in order to do that. And so what you're seeing is high deductible type health plans. And then, you have your companies will do your cafeteria plans or flexible spending accounts. And then you have your individuals like, entrepreneurs and, small business owners will do HSAs, so health savings accounts. And there's differences between, so whoever's watching, make sure you ask those differences because some are better than others and some are use it or lose it kind of thing. So you don't want to put $5,000 into something that you don't spend and you lose it at the end of the year if you're looking to get prepared. So
Yeah, and that's like with anything, like don't go out there and take our word as gospel and go out and start implementing a bunch of stuff. Like you're not just gonna want to talk to Sean or your advisor, you're gonna want to talk to a CPA about some of the strategies too and make sure it's set up right. Like
Yeah.
if you're implementing protocols in your business to protect yourself, if it's not structured right, you could just be paying out the nose with taxes at the end of the day if anything does happen, and then it was all a moot point.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
there's a lot of different moving components, but with the right team in place, like Sean's very knowledgeable, it just makes the process so much easier. Like it's just okay, here's what I'm willing to accept, here's what I need to do, done.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not a CPA by any stretch, but I mean, I know there are certain things that don't interact well with HSAs and FSAs and stuff like that. And if you're
Yeah.
already maxing certain things out, you're going to be in trouble at the end of the year. So you definitely having the, like you say, the CPA, the advisor, I mean, everybody working on the same team. And sometimes that's tough. Sometimes advisors and CPAs and have different, opinions and different,
Yeah.
and maybe at that point you got to find, a group that actually has your same focus and your same goal in mind, or willing to at least try to do that. I find, my kind of, my philosophy is I have all these tools in my bag, right? And every person is going to have a little bit different risk, that they like, a little bit
Mhm.
different, things that they want to protect, things that concern them. And so cookie cutter approach. And so if your group just decided everyone has to do it this way, well, that may not be the best way for that person. And so if you're not
Yeah.
flexible with that and you can't wrap your brain around the different concepts and so that are within the industry, probably need to do some reading up, because you're not doing your client any service there. You're kind of doing a disservice, if anything.
Yeah. Blanket approaches really just they kill your client at the end of the day.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as a one size fit all whatsoever. And like
really.
then like I don't know how they're structured or how they work down there. I know up here like one of the things that especially like people who were in like the 2 to 4 year mark, like they're kind of in that honeymoon phase. They know they're just about there where they're going to have a sustainable business, but they're not quite there yet. And even businesses who have been around for a long time, it's just the profit margins are very slim. DHSAs, you can they're literally like they're like no cost to the
Mm-hmm.
employer unless somebody's making a deposit into there, unless somebody has to make a claim, sorry. And you can give your employees a raise without giving them a raise. You give them a give them a couple like if you want even tier it off for your departments, give different departments different benefits, but now you've just given them $1,000, $2,000 raise for the year,
Mm-hmm.
and they can go out, they can use that towards up here, you can use it towards gym passes, yoga, you can use it towards a golf day. Like that was a cool thing for like law firms and certain professionals is you could go out, take 2, 3 clients golfing and write it off on the HSA. So now you're making your clients happy as well as having like a health day and getting out. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah. I don't think it quite as liberal as far as that's concerned, as far as what's available down here. But I mean, I can use mine for my massage. Like I go for a
yeah.
chiropractic massage and adjustment, dental stuff, all those types of things that people are, the big thing right now is that I find in the health insurance is people question, the viability of dental insurance.
Mm.
Dentists are not taking insurance anymore, or they're saying they're PPO and they're out of network for everybody. And so you end up, they pay, the insurance pays a little bit, but then at the end of the day, you're still 200, 300, $400 down the hole when you go to the dentist.
Yeah.
So people will use HSAs for that a lot, which is a good way to do it. If you're not using it elsewhere, like for your deductible or out of pocket costs,
Mhm.
down here. So I know you guys don't necessarily have a lot of that, those are the kind of health costs up there. But down here now, if it's going to be $7,450 max out of pocket per person, you got to have those tools, right? You got to have that protection. HSAs are one way to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, we still have healthcare bills and stuff. Like I think my province is the only one that actually doesn't charge us for our provincial healthcare or whatever. And then from there, like depending on which province you're in, there's different monthly costs, whatever. Dentists, like stuff like that, that's not covered. That's
Okay.
all out of pocket. It's just like it's basically just you go in for your checkups, do blood work, like just that small stuff that's covered.
Gotcha. Gotcha. It's funny. That's actually, I mean, we could have a whole nother one of these on that, like just finding out the
Yep.
differences between the two health systems. It's because I swear everybody down here is like, well, you know, at least in Oregon, right? Portland area is like, well, why can't we do it like Canada, or why can't we do it like Switzerland, or like? And it's like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Like there's goods and bads. There's, you know, pros and cons to everything. So it's interesting. I
Oh
do
yeah.
think our health system is screwed up, but you know, I think it is everywhere where you look if you look hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you're in it, you realize how screwed up it actually is. I
Yeah.
know our waiting times are a million times longer than your guys's for like specialty treatments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because it's more accessible. It's down there. It's great. I got the money. I can go. I don't got the money. I can't go. Up here, it's a little bit more liberal in that sense. So yeah, we digress. We're a little bit off topic here for poor people, but yeah, like there's so many cool ways and so many cool things that you can do to protect your business and preserve it, like not just for the short term, but for the long term as well. I just,
Oh, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, it's a lot like being a smart individual too. I mean, some of the things are simple, like saving, like just simple
yeah,
save, like setting money aside, you know, for a rainy
yeah,
day. I mean, so you run into so many businesses who are just so leveraged to the hilt that one bad thing, like a freezer going out, would just completely wipe them out, you know, and it's too bad, you know, and you got to make some of those risks sometimes to make it work. But if you can plan ahead and save some money for a rainy day, I mean, I would say that's one of the biggest ones, right? I mean, it
mhm,
run into too many businesses that are just so far in the red that they could go under any time, you know. And that's hard. I mean, starting out to create those habits, right? I mean, for any
mhm,
individual or business, it's hard to. Well, I'm only bringing in $1,000. Why do I need to put away $200? Well, because at some point you're going to need some extra money for something, a repair, you know, anything, you know, an
mhm.
insurance deductible. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is too, a lot of that stuff can be like naturally the savings aren't, but like insurance deductibles, marketing, advertising, that's all business expenses. So
Yeah.
that's helping you out on your end as long as you have the right team in place. Yeah, I get the same thing here as I did when I was a financial advisor. Like it's just people have a hard people look at everything as an expense and they're scared to double down on themselves and do what they need to do in order to be successful and hit that next level and just do what needs to be done. Like it's broken mindsets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between investing and spending too. You know, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
if you're just going out to the bar and buying everybody drinks, well, that's probably not a good business expense. You know,
Yeah.
it's a cost, right? But if you're spending on marketing or hooking up with you guys to set some sort of program up, or investing in insurance, or things that are going to help you and protect you, then that's a whole different thing. I mean,
Mm.
it adds value versus just it's gone, by the time you get to the bottom of the class kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly. Like I was reading Brunson's book earlier today, Russell Brunson, and he's like, any problem in the world that you have can be solved by marketing. You can't find a partner, you suck at marketing. You're not making enough money, you suck at marketing. He listed off like a dozen different things. It
Huh.
was so funny.
I suppose, I mean, he's definitely biased in that regard, but it
Yeah.
does ring true, right? I mean, for sure. If you're not you're not having enough people to talk to, you're not going to sell enough policies, you're not going to sell enough product, whatever you're doing, you know,
Hmm.
you're, I mean, it's true. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know what else to talk about, man. I mean, there's so many things we could kind of go off on tangents about, but I don't even know how long we've been doing this.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, like I know I'm starting to do a lot more of this as well, is we're making a shift to only, I know, shameless plug about my business here. Well, at least for me anyways, I'm only starting to work with people that have been in business for like 4, 5, 6 years. Like depending on where they are in business, I'll take 2 to 3 years. but 4 kind of seems to be my thing because it's around the 3 4 year mark people actually start getting it. They start
Okay.
getting what an investment in their business or themselves is versus what an actual expense is. And they started understanding these core concepts that people have been telling them, like the veterans have been telling them for the first few years in the business. It starts clicking at that point. So they start looking at what can I do to essentially snowball everything that I'm already doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like I found that as well too. I made that shift when I was on your side of the fence in insurance, was like, from talking to business owners and entrepreneurs, that's where the shift made. And that's where they started really putting like the value and the emphasis on what they can do to keep going as long as they had the right team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can't prevent people from signing up with a crappy team and not wanting to do anything ever again for the rest of their lives, but
Well, I think at that point too, you're starting to see someone who might have some of those resources to leverage too. They're not so tight. And I think, when you first start in a business, you have a tendency, or the average person has a tendency to be super scared about what they're doing, how they're doing it, when they're doing it. They kind of second guess themselves a little bit. When you've been in the business for several years, you start realizing, like you were saying, those things you need to do in order to make that next step. But also you become a little more flush, if you will, or realizing that this is a legitimate thing and it's not going to just go away overnight.
yeah.
I've spent my time too spent with brand new business owners, and I'll still do it. I mean, me personally, I have no problem helping out however I can, whether it be something small like health insurance or whatnot. But um, it's there's a different vibe from someone who's been in, there's just a different way you can communicate with them and talk with them, and they'll understand things better than someone who's never been in, the
Mm.
business, or very, very young in the business. But I was actually having a conversation today with a business owner who's been in the business for a long time, and they, dealing with some stuff that, over time you're going to deal with some not so fun stuff, but he's been able to work through it real quick and move on. And I think a young business owner isn't able to kind of move on to from some of those adversities as easy and as quickly, right? You realize once you've been in the business for a while that that's going to happen, and you just have to be able to push through and keep going and make the best of it. And I think that's another reason to work with more established companies and groups.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, man, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff that you can do.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
almost a workshop on its own, actually.
Yep, yep. So, but yeah, um, I don't know. That's me. I'm here.
Come on, man. Where's your shameless plug?
Oh yeah. So, all right, I'll give you my plug. So, I'm in health insurance, primarily life insurance, disability, insurance. Period. Protection is really what I do. Um, Building a brokerage, been in the business a little over 7 years, but more importantly, I'm centered on the customer. Not like I'm a problem solver, right? Like I'm not someone who has one solution and I try to shove you into it. I try to figure out what their needs, wants. Sometimes, it's a matter of a difference between one little piece, right, that makes all the difference. So we can dig and dig and dig and find out what those problems, what those concerns, what those comfort levels are, and we set you in a proper coverage. It's not a one size fits all. I mean, I kind of alluded to that earlier, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, but that is the bottom line. That's the one thing I find, especially, again, not to knock on new agents or new businesses, but when you learn something, you tend to want to just vomit out everything that you've learned and go, 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 go. I find that's a huge mistake and it causes lots of problems.
Yeah.
One, you don't get the business more often than not, but two, you're not actually solving anyone's problem. You're trying to talk them into something, and then they're never happy and they cancel and all sorts of nonsense. So if you need someone, even if it's not to just actually sell you something, just kind of go over what you have so you know what you have, and see if there's any holes you don't know about. Give me a ring. shoot me a message. Get on my calendar. It's all there for you.
I wish we had a styrofoam cup. You ever seen that analogy where you take a styrofoam cup, you put water in it, and you start poking holes in it, and you're like, this could be your financial plan. If you don't review it. A leaky boat, holes in your boat doesn't hold water.
It's so true sometimes. It's so, especially some of the folks that just, go down to the local, don't ever check around, don't, get references, don't do some of those types of things. You never know. You run into some weird stuff sometimes. Most of the time it's you can understand where the person was coming from, but sometimes you just don't know what the heck's going on. So why they did this or that, it's just, but you fix it, you roll with the punches, and you get them on the right track, ideally.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get approved for insurance. They won't approve me, those bastards.
Were you for traveling, or were you trying to get for business insurance, or?
Yeah, I was trying to get for a while there. I was trying to get a UL so that I could start leveraging it. I had a pretty cool growth strategy that worked in like staggering life insurance policies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had a really cool strategy that I wanted to implement, but yeah, my doctor and I were trying to fight it for a little bit, and after I dropped my licenses, I'm kind of like, I just don't care anymore. I'm like, I'm done fighting this thing. It's been like a year and a half, 2 years.
Gotcha. Well, we can talk some other time too. I've got some strategies on things like annuities and stuff. You can do similar things that I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I can kind of in my brain think about it. I have some buddies who do that same kind of thing with annuities and things like that. But kind of staggering.
There's a lot of cool advanced stuff you can do, and I mean, hey, that's how do you think the Rothschilds and stuff got where they are? Staggering those whole life policies, man.
Yeah. I mean, all the big educational institutions too. I mean, they give benefits to their, to their professors and their administrators, and most of them include, whole life insurance, cash value life insurance that endow to the school, and, all sorts of things. So, I mean, if you look at some of those endowment funds from some of those major institutions, Harvard, Stanford, some of those big ones, I mean, it's massive. I mean, they just have massive amounts of money because of that strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Cool. Right on. Thanks for hopping on, Sean. We'll get this shared around. I think this is kind of an odd time. Everybody's, I think, trying to drive home right now.
Yeah. No, I live on the West Coast, so it's weird for, it's weird for everybody, I think, so.
Yeah. Well, thanks for not watching this and driving, because I know you guys are going to be catching the replay.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Ben.
Yeah, man. Right on. We'll chat soon. Cheers.
All right, later.